Students, my name is Anju Patros. I am Assistant Professor, Computer Science Department, Alasa College of Engineering and Technology. Today, I am teaching the first module of Programming Paradigms, names, scopes, and bindings and control flow. So, what is name? A name is a mnemonic character string used to represent something else. So, how would you call me? Using you call me using my name. So my name is Anju. So Anju is the mnemonic character string. In mnemonic character string you can also add numbers, special characters along with the strings. So in computer everything is stored in the memory in and we are accessing it using address, but the human mind can't remember all these address, so we are giving everything a name to refer it. So, names in most languages are identifiers, that is alphanumeric tokens. In some languages, even plus and equal to are also considered as names. These names refer to variables, constants, operation types, and so on. So, while the names, while using the names, what are the primary design issues? The first one is whether the names are case sensitive or not. That is, should we treat the uppercase letters and the lowercase letters as same or not? And the second one is, are these special words of the language reserved words or keywords? We know there are keywords. Suppose in C language, break, continue. Is it necessary to use such keywords? These are the two primary design issues. Now we will see what is abstraction. Abstraction means the degree to which the language characteristics are separated from the underlying computer architecture. Or we can say abstraction like this also. It is a process by which the programmer associates a name to a potentially complicated program fragment. The subroutines are control abstractions. It helps the programmer to hide complicated code behind a simple interface. Classes are data abstraction. It allows the programmer to hide data representation details behind a simple interface. Now we will look what is binding time. First, what is a binding? It is an association between two things, such as a name and the thing it names. Suppose we are giving int x equal to 10. So the name is x and the thing it name is 10. And there is a binding occurring there, int x equal to 10. That is binding. Now what is the binding time? It is a time at which a binding is created, or more generally, the time at which any implementation decision is made. Here I have given an example int x. So when this x is getting a memory space when it is compiled, that time is it is compiling time. That is called a binding time. When the statement is compiled, x is bound to a memory space. Or binding time is the time at which any implementation decision is made. Implementation decision means whether the factors that requires are issued in the language design time or language implementation time, program writing time, compile time, link time, load time, or runtime. So during language design time, what all decisions are making? What should be the control for construct, such as whether we should include the looping statement, whether we should include a selection statement, and so on. Then the set of primitive types, primitive data types, and the available constructors for creating complex types. So these decisions are making in language design time. Now, during language implementation time, a variety of issues, including what should be the precision of fundamental types, coupling of IO to files, and the maximum sizes of stack and heap, and how to handle the runtime exceptions. Uh, likewise, these type of decisions are made during language implementation time. And during program writing time, programmers choose which algorithm to take, which data structures to be implemented. And at compile time, the compilers convert high level construct to machine code. And during link time, the libraries are linked to it. And during load time, the operating system load the program into memory. And during the runtime, the entire span from the beginning to end of execution is the runtime. So we were telling about the binding time. So these are some time at which some crucial decisions are made. Now, object lifetime and storage management. What is a binding's lifetime? The time period from the creation to the destruction of a name to object binding. I have set the example index equal to 10. So x is binded to that 10, and the time span between the creation and destruction of that index equal to 10 is the binding's lifetime. Similarly, the time between the creation and destruction of an object is the object's lifetime. In the a equal to new a of. So the object A, from the creation to the destruction of that object, it is the object's lifetime. Then what is dangling reference? Suppose there are cases occurs when we have deleted the variable in the stack, but still a reference is binding to that. Such type of reference is called a dangling reference. Now, there are three storage allocation mechanisms for objects: static, stack, and heap. First is static allocation. Some examples of static objects are global variables, numeric and string valued constants. Example A equal to B divided by 14.7, or the statement printf hello world. These are all examples of static objects. The value of these static objects should not change during program execution, but when we try to write it, the operating system shows a runtime error. Now, static allocation of local variables. The local variables are static objects, but they are not statically allocated. That is, in case of subroutine, these local variables are created when the subroutine is called, and the local variables are destroyed when it returns. So, they are not statically allocated, they are stack allocated. These manifest constants or compile time constants are also statically allocated. Now, we will see what is stack based allocation. We have just said the local variables are not statically allocated, they are stack allocated. So, this is a simple picture of stack based allocation. You can see a program here, main program A. When A is called, it is calling B. Then here procedure B. In that, if this condition is true, then do B, else C. This is procedure C. In that, D and E is carrying on. Now look at this stack. First of all, subroutine A. Procedure A is called, so it is inserted into the stack. Then procedure A is calling B, so subroutine B is inserted into the stack. In this, if this condition is right, then it is calling B again. Subroutine B is in the stack. After the condition getting false, it is calling the else part C. So subroutine C is here, and in procedure C, D is calling. So here is subroutine D. And this is the direction of stack growth. We can see what all should be included in a subroutine. That is, these are all frames. The stack is consisting of frame. Here, frame for subroutine A, frame for subroutine B, frame for subroutine C. So, what should this frame contains? It contains arguments to called routines, which are arguments should be passed, temporary variables, local variables, any miscellaneous bookkeeping factors related to while calling the program, then return address. The stack pointer is pointed, always pointed to the top of the stack, and the frame pointer is pointed to a known location on a frame. Then the maintenance of stack is the responsibility of subroutine calling sequence. That is, the code executed by the caller immediately before and after the call, and of the prologue, code executed at the beginning, and epilogue, code executed at the end of the subroutine. Now, what is the heap based allocation? A heap is a region of storage in which subblocks can be allocated and deallocated at arbitrary times. That is, if you are using linked data structures, lists, and sets, we can allocate and deallocate the storage at arbitrary times. So, heap are used. You can see the figure of a heap, and all this shaded portion contains data, and this non-shaded portion, this white color, is empty or free. And we can see this cross-hatched space, that is the free space. Suppose this is 10 kb, and we are using only 8 kb, so the remaining space become free, that is cross-hatched space here shown. Then the problem here occurs is, one is internal fragmentation. I have just said that suppose this is a 10 kb block, and uh, you have given data of 8 kb, the remaining 2 kb is free. So that is internal fragmentation. And the another issue is external fragmentation. External fragmentation means there are a lot of free spaces, but not one space is enough to satisfy a further request. Suppose this is 5 kb, 5 kb, so 10, 15, 20, 25, 25 kb of free space. But my request to allocate is suppose 50 kb. So, even if there is free space, my request is not getting satisfied. So, that is called the external fragmentation. So, students, that is all for today. I hope all you have got a fine idea of what would be a name, and about binding time, and the object lifetime, and storage management, in which we have discussed static, stack, and heap. Thank you.